What if you could walk through life untouchable, where toxic people with their drama, manipulation, and chaos just bounce off you like pebbles on a shield? Not because you're dodging them, but because you've cracked the code to something deeper, something wired into your biology and psychology that makes you a fortress. This isn't about cutting people off with a grand speech or winning arguments. It's about a shift so profound it starts in your nervous system and ripples out, changing who shows up in your world. Buckle up. This is how you become someone toxic people can't touch, and it's going to hit you like a lightning bolt. Toxic people don't just wander into your life by accident. They're drawn to you like moths to a flame. But the flame isn't your personality, it's how you're wired in the moment. Your reactivity, your need for approval, the way you get sucked into their emotional vortex, it's like you're broadcasting a signal they can't resist. Neuroscience lays it bare. Your nervous system is the control center. When you're stuck in hyperarousal, heart racing, emotions flaring, you're sending out chaotic energy, and toxic people thrive on that. They don't want your calm, they want your chaos. But here's the game changer. You can flip the script. By regulating your nervous system with simple grounded practices, deep breathing, cold exposure, journaling, you're not just chilling out, you're rewiring the signals you emit. You're moving from a state of stress to one of homeostasis, where your body and mind are in sync. And when you're steady, toxic people can't find a way in. They're looking for emotional leverage, but you're not leaking energy anymore. You're not reacting. You're not explaining yourself. You're just untouchable. Now let's get real. Toxic people feed on your emotional fuel. Every time you argue, justify, or get pulled into their drama, you're handing them the keys to your peace. But what happens when you stop? When you redirect your focus inward onto your breath, your routines, your growth? Your brain, thanks to neuroplasticity, starts building new pathways. It's like upgrading your mental software. You become less reactive, more deliberate. Their guilt trips don't stick. Their gaslighting falls flat. Why? Because you're not vibrating on their chaotic frequency anymore. You're on a different wavelength, one they can't hack. And the best part? You don't need to convince them to respect you. You just stop needing their validation. That's not some fluffy mindset trick. It's biology. When you regulate your nervous system, you're literally changing how your brain responds to stress. You're building internal coherence, where your mind, body, and emotions work as a team. Toxic people, they can't mess with that. Here's a truth that'll hit you hard. Silence is your secret weapon. Not the passive, I'm scared kind of silence, but the kind that radiates power. When someone toxic tries to bait you, pushing your buttons, throwing shade, your body wants to jump into fight or flight mode. Your heart pounds, cortisol floods your system, and your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that keeps you rational, starts to flicker. That's why you end up in shouting matches, or saying things you regret. But when you choose silence, you're not running, you're rewriting the script. You're giving your brain a second to catch up, letting your prefrontal cortex take the wheel. Silence creates space, and in that space you reclaim control. It's not just a pause, it's a boundary, a neon sign that says, you don't get to hijack my energy. And toxic people hate it. They need your reaction to keep the game going. When you don't give it to them, they're left swinging at air. Silence isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's you saying, I see your chaos, and I'm not playing. Let's talk energy, because this is where things get wild. You're always broadcasting a signal, whether you know it or not. The way you breathe, move, hold tension, it's all sending out vibes that other people pick up on, thanks to mirror neurons and limbic resonance. If your energy is erratic, stressed, anxious, desperate, you're like a magnet for chaos. Toxic people keep showing up because part of your internal state matches their frequency. But when you start aligning your energy with peace, self-respect, and clarity, everything shifts. Daily habits like diaphragmatic breathing, exercise, or even a quick cold shower stabilize your autonomic nervous system. Your emotional reactivity dials down. You stop being a lightning rod for drama. Instead, you start attracting people and situations that vibe with your new calm. Toxic people, they don't feel at home around you anymore. They can't find a hook to latch onto. It's not magic, it's physiology. Your energy becomes a boundary, and chaos stops knocking. Now here's where you take the wheel. Mind your own business. Your brain has a finite amount of attentional bandwidth. Think of it like a battery that drains every time you get sucked into someone else's nonsense. Decoding their behavior, fixing their problems, worrying about how they see you. It's all stealing energy from your own growth. But when you shift your focus to your own path, your habits, your goals, your peace, something incredible happens. Your brain starts rewarding you with dopamine, the molecule of motivation. Every small win, like sticking to your morning routine or setting a boundary, reinforces a loop of progress. Drama starts to feel like static. Toxic people become irrelevant, not because you're ignoring them, but because you're too locked in to care. This isn't about being selfish, it's about being strategic. You're optimizing your brain for what actually matters. Protecting your peace isn't just a nice idea, it's a biological necessity. Chronic stress from toxic relationships doesn't just mess with your mood, it wreaks havoc on your body. It screws with your memory, your immune system, even how fast you age. Every time you're bracing for the next argument or guilt trip, your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight, wiring your brain for reactivity instead of resilience. But when you stop engaging, when you refuse to chase closure or respond to every jab, you're not just saving energy, you're rewiring your system for calm. Peace isn't something you find, it's something you protect. That means walking away from conversations that leave you tense, choosing environments that align with your values, and saying no to what costs your mental clarity. You don't owe anyone access to your nervous system. Once you get that, you'll start making choices that prioritize your health over their chaos. And that's when the shift becomes undeniable. Let's dive deeper into why this works. Your brain is built to adapt. It's called neuroplasticity, and it follows one simple rule: what you focus on, you become. If you're constantly obsessing over toxic people, what they said, what they did, how they made you feel, your brain reinforces neural pathways that keep you stuck. You become wired for hypervigilance, anxiety, and emotional reactivity. It's not your fault, it's just what your brain does when it's exposed to chaos over and over. But here's the flip side. When you redirect your attention inward, onto your routines, your breath, your boundaries, you're building new pathways. You're training your brain to prioritize peace over panic. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you're strengthening neural connections that make you more resilient. Over time, what used to trigger you doesn't even register. Toxic people lose their grip, not because they've changed, but because you've rewired your response to them. Now let's talk about boundaries, because this is where most people get it wrong. Boundaries aren't just about what you say or do, they're about your energy. The most powerful boundary you can set is your internal state. When you're no longer emotionally available for chaos, toxic people can't get a foothold. Behavioral psychology backs this up. When a behavior isn't rewarded, it fades. Manipulation, guilt tripping, gaslighting, they all depend on your reaction. When you stop reacting, you're not just setting a boundary, you're extinguishing their playbook. This isn't about cutting people off with a dramatic exit. It's about cutting off the supply of attention that keeps their drama alive. You become less reactive, more intentional, and suddenly, the people who used to stress you out don't have the same pull. They might still try, but they're shouting into a void. Here's a truth that'll set you free. You don't need to announce your transformation. The most powerful growth happens in the quiet, when no one's watching. Neuroscience calls it integration, when your brain has the space to reflect, reassess, and rewire. When you step back from toxic relationships or drama-filled environments, you're giving your nervous system a chance to recalibrate. Think of it like a muscle recovering after a workout. The growth doesn't happen during the chaos. It happens in the stillness. That's why silence is so powerful during change. It's not about hiding, it's about protecting your evolution. Toxic people can sense when you're shifting. They'll try to pull you back into old patterns, not because they're evil, but because your growth threatens their control. So in those early stages, keep it low-key. Build your new habits, your new mindset, your new energy in private. Let the changes speak for themselves when they're ready. Your results are your loudest statement. Every time you choose peace over drama, integrity over chaos, you're reinforcing a new identity. Your brain loves this. It rewards consistency with dopamine and self-trust. Small wins compound, and over time, you become someone who's not just saying they want peace, but living it. Toxic people thrive on inconsistency. When you say you're done, but keep engaging. When you preach boundaries, but don't enforce them. But when your actions match your intentions, they've got nothing to work with. You don't need to justify your distance or over-explain your boundaries. Just live them. The right people, secure, emotionally mature, growth-oriented, will respect your vibe. The wrong ones, they'll fade. Not because you push them out, but because they can't connect with the version of you that's leveled up. Let's zoom out for a second. There's a concept in neuroscience and psychology called coherence, when your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are in sync. When you're coherent, your brain runs like a well-oiled machine. Your heart rate stabilizes, your cortisol drops, and your decision-making sharpens. But this isn't just about feeling good. It's about reshaping your reality. When you align with your truth, toxic relationships don't need to be fought. They just fall away. The energy you used to spend defending yourself or managing their dysfunction, it's now fueling your goals, your peace, your growth. Alignment isn't a one-time choice. It's a daily practice. It's choosing what's right over what's easy, stillness over chaos, self-respect over people-pleasing. Each choice reinforces your nervous system's sense of safety and clarity. And when you're grounded like that, nothing can knock you off center. Here's where it gets beautiful. When you align internally, life starts to mirror it. New people show up, people who vibe with your calm, who respect your boundaries, who add to your peace. Opportunities flow, not because of luck, but because your system isn't clogged with chaos anymore. You've created space for what belongs. Toxic people, they lose their power, not because you defeated them, but because you evolved beyond them. You didn't need to scream for respect or beg for peace. You built it, choice by choice, until your energy became a force field. Let's break it down even further, because this isn't just about mindset, it's about practical, actionable steps. Start with your nervous system. Chronic stress from toxic relationships keeps you in a loop of reactivity, but you can break it with small, consistent practices. Try diaphragmatic breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Do it for 5 minutes a day. It's not woo-woo, it's science. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, calming your body and mind. Or try cold exposure, a 30-second cold shower at the end of your morning routine. It spikes adrenaline briefly, then forces your body to regulate, training you to stay calm under stress. Journaling works too. Dump your thoughts on paper for 10 minutes each morning. It's like decluttering your brain, giving you clarity to spot toxic patterns before they pull you in. Next, audit your attention. Your brain's salience network is always scanning, deciding what matters most. If you're constantly focused on toxic people, what they did, what they might do next, you're training your brain to prioritize them. Flip that. Start noticing what you can control: your habits, your reactions, your environment. Set a morning routine that anchors you. Maybe it's 10 minutes of stretching, a quick meditation, or just sipping coffee without your phone. These aren't just rituals, they're signals to your brain that you're in charge. Over time, your attention shifts from their chaos to your progress, and toxic people start fading into the background. Boundaries are your next layer. Most people think boundaries are about what you say. Don't talk to me like that, or I need space. But the strongest boundaries are unspoken. They're in your energy, your choices, your presence. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't get it. Stop justifying your need for peace. Just act. If someone's draining you, limit your exposure, shorten calls, skip the small talk, or politely exit group chats that stress you out. You don't need to announce it, just do it. Your nervous system will thank you, and toxic people will notice. They'll test you at first, but when they get no reaction, they'll move on. Behavioral extinction is real. Stop rewarding their drama, and it fizzles out. Silence deserves its own spotlight here, because it's a superpower most people sleep on. When someone toxic tries to hook you, maybe they're throwing shade or fishing for a fight, your first instinct is to clap back. Don't pause. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the silence stretch. It's not about being passive, it's about staying in the driver's seat. Your silence tells them, I'm not playing your game. Neurologically, it's a reset button. It pulls you out of fight or flight and back into clarity. Psychologically, it's a power move. Toxic people need your reaction to keep the cycle going. When you don't give it, they're stuck. Over time, they'll stop trying because you've become emotionally inaccessible. That's not cold, it's strategic. It's you protecting your peace like it's your most valuable asset. Energy alignment is the next piece of the puzzle. You're always transmitting something: calm, stress, confidence, chaos. People pick up on it subconsciously, and it shapes who's drawn to you. If you're constantly frazzled, you're a magnet for drama. But when you stabilize your energy, you change the game. Start with your body, move daily, even if it's a 20-minute walk. Exercise regulates your autonomic nervous system, reducing emotional volatility. Eat foods that don't spike your blood sugar. Think protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs. Sleep like it's your job, aim for 7 to 8 hours, and keep a consistent schedule. These aren't just health tips, they're energy hacks. When your physiology is steady, your emotional state follows, and you stop vibing with chaos. Toxic people will sense it, they'll try to pull you back, but they won't stick. Your energy is too clean for their mess. Now let's talk about selective attention, because this is where you take back your power. Your brain is a filter. It can only process so much at once. When you're hyper-focused on toxic people, you're giving them prime real estate in your mind. But when you shift your focus to your own growth, your skills, your passions, your peace, your brain starts ignoring the noise. It's like tuning a radio. The more you dial into your frequency, the less you hear their static. Try this every morning. Write down 3 things you want to focus on that day. Maybe it's finishing a work task, hitting the gym, or just staying calm during a tough conversation. Keep it small and specific. Then at the end of the day, check in: did you do them? This isn't about perfection, it's about training your brain to prioritize you. Over time, toxic people won't just fade, they'll become irrelevant. You're too busy building something better. Growth happens in the quiet, and this is where most people miss the mark. We're conditioned to broadcast our changes, post about our boundaries, tell everyone we're leveling up. But real transformation doesn't need an audience. It's you, alone with your thoughts, your routines, your choices. Just neuroscience backs this. Your brain needs space to integrate new patterns. When you're constantly in the noise, arguing, explaining, defending, you're disrupting that process. Step back. Create mental and emotional space. Maybe that means taking a break from certain group chats, spending less time on social media, or carving out an hour each day for yourself. In that stillness, your brain rewires. You start seeing yourself differently. Not as someone who's stuck, but as someone who's evolving. And that shift, it's bulletproof. Toxic people can't touch it because it's built in silence. Your results are your megaphone. You don't need to tell people you're changing, just show it. Every time you stick to your boundaries, choose peace, or walk away from drama, you're reinforcing a new identity. Your brain loves this, it thrives on consistency. Each small win releases dopamine, building self-trust and momentum. Over time, you become someone who's not just talking about peace, but embodying it. Toxic people feed on the gap between your words and actions. Close that gap, be precise. If you say you're done with drama, don't pick up the phone when they call with more. If you want peace, don't engage in conversations that leave you drained. Your actions are your credibility, first to yourself, then to the world. The right people will notice. They'll respect your energy, your focus, your calm. The wrong ones, they'll fall away because they can't vibe with the new you. Let's talk about coherence, one more time, because this is the glue that holds it all together. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned, you're operating at peak performance. Your brain is efficient, your stress levels are low, and your decisions are clear. This isn't just about feeling good, it's about creating a life that reflects your truth. Toxic relationships thrive on misalignment, when you're saying one thing but doing another. When you're chasing approval instead of peace. But when you align, everything shifts. You stop reacting to their chaos. You stop needing their validation. You move from a place of grounded power, where no one can shake you. And the best part, life starts to mirror that alignment. The right people show up. Opportunities flow. Synchronicities happen. Not because you're lucky, but because you've cleared the noise and created space for what belongs. Here's how to make this stick. Start small, but start now. Pick one practice to regulate your nervous system. Maybe it's 5 minutes of deep breathing every morning. Commit to it for a week. Then add another layer. Audit your attention. Write down one thing each day that you'll focus on instead of toxic people. Maybe it's a work goal, a hobby, or just staying calm in a tough moment. Next, set one unspoken boundary. Maybe it's not answering texts that stress you out or leaving a conversation that feels off. Don't announce it, just do it. Track your wins, no matter how small. Did you stay calm when they tried to bait you? Did you stick to your routine? Celebrate those. They're proof you're rewiring. Over time, these choices compound. Your energy shifts, your presence changes. Toxic people notice, they'll test you, push harder at first. But when you stay consistent, they'll fade. Not because you fought them, but because you outgrew them. You didn't need to scream for respect or beg for peace. You built it choice by choice until your energy became a force field. And in that quiet evolution, you'll find what you've been searching for all along: clarity, strength, and a peace no one can touch. This isn't a quick fix, it's a lifestyle. Toxic people will always exist, but their power over you doesn't have to. You're not a victim of their chaos. You're the architect of your peace. Every breath, every boundary, every moment of silence is a brick in the fortress you're building. And when you're done, you won't just be untouchable, you'll be unstoppable. So stop waiting for them to change. Stop hoping they'll see your worth. Start aligning with the version of you that's already whole, already worthy, already free. The rest will fall into place, and the world will rearrange itself to match the force you've become. You've got the foundation. Your nervous system is your control center, silence is your superpower, and your energy is a boundary that chaos can't breach. But let's take it further. You're not just dodging toxic people. You're building a life where they can't even get close. This is about locking in habits, sharpening your focus, and owning your space so fiercely that drama doesn't stand a chance. Get ready to level up, because this is where you make peace your default and toxic people a distant memory. Your brain is a pattern-making machine, and right now it's either working for you or against you. If you're still caught in cycles of reacting to toxic behavior, replaying their words, stressing over their next move, your brain is wiring itself for chaos. Neuroscience calls this Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together wire together. Every time you dwell on their drama, you're strengthening neural pathways that keep you stuck. But here's the flip side. You can rewire your brain to prioritize peace. It's called neuroplasticity, and it's your ticket out. Start by redirecting your attention. Instead of obsessing over what they did, focus on what you can control: your breath, your routines, your choices. Try this every morning. Write down one small action that moves you toward calm. Maybe it's 5 minutes of stretching, a quick gratitude list, or just drinking water before your coffee. These aren't random tasks. They're anchors. They tell your brain, this is my new normal. Over time, your neural pathways shift, and chaos starts feeling like noise instead of a magnet. Let's talk about attention, because it's your most precious resource. Your brain's got a built-in filter called the salience network. It's always scanning, deciding what deserves your focus. When you let toxic people dominate your thoughts, you're handing them the remote to your mind. But when you take it back, everything changes. Here's a trick: set a daily focus anchor. Pick one thing you want to nail that day. Maybe it's finishing a work task, hitting the gym, or staying calm during a tense convo. Write it down, keep it simple, and check in at night. Did you do it? If not, no shame, just tweak and try again. This isn't about perfection. It's about training your brain to lock in on what matters. The more you focus on your growth, the less bandwidth you have for their nonsense. Toxic people, they'll start fading. Not because you're ignoring them, but because you're too busy building something better. Now let's get tactical with boundaries, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Most people think boundaries are about big dramatic showdowns, telling someone off or cutting them out with a speech. But the strongest boundaries are quiet, consistent, and unspoken. They're in your actions, not your words. Say someone's draining you with constant complaints or subtle jabs. You don't need to call them out. Just limit your exposure. Shorten calls, skip the small talk, or politely dip out of group chats that stress you out. No announcement, no explanation. Just do it. Your nervous system will feel the difference, and they'll notice. They might push harder at first, testing your resolve. Stay steady. Behavioral psychology backs this. When you stop rewarding their drama, it fizzles out. It's called extinction, and it's why manipulators, guilt trippers, and gaslighters lose their grip when you stop playing along. Here's where it gets juicy. Your energy isn't just a vibe, It's a signal. You're always broadcasting. And people pick it up through mirror neurons and limbic resonance, even if they don't know it. If you're frazzled, anxious, or desperate for approval, you're sending out a beacon that toxic people can't resist. But when you stabilize your energy, you change the game. Start with your body. Move daily. Doesn't have to be a gym session. A 20-minute walk works. It regulates your autonomic nervous system, dialing down emotional reactivity. Eat to keep your blood sugar steady. Protein, healthy fats, complex carbs. Sleep like it's non-negotiable. 9 to 8 hours. Same time every night. These aren't just health hacks. They're energy optimizers. When your physiology is solid, your emotional state follows. And you stop vibing with chaos. Toxic people will sense it. They'll try to hook you, but they won't stick. Your energy is too steady for their mess.